Let's go see Ellison Berryhill playing Is It Kiki Jiki against Zan Syed's 4-color Wurzer deck. It's been a minute since we've seen Kiki Jiki in Modern, Craig.
Yeah, was something unbanned?
No. Nope. We're just pretending Splinter Twin works again.
Because this is the Splinter Twin deck.
It is, with a much worse tool to accomplish its goals.
Yeah, just trying to make its way with Kiki Jiki. Some interesting newer additions to the deck. Magmatic Sinkhole, a card we both really like. There's a bunch of Force and Negations, 3 of them. But that's a card that you can't use for free on your own turn.
Correct. It's not going to set up your combo for you.
Yeah, so it's not very effective at defending your Kiki Jiki combo.
Still think a worthwhile card to have in your deck. You certainly just need to play some defense and then slowly wear your opponent down so you can get to the place where you can start doing the Kiki Jiki stuff. And there you see Force and Negation coming down to answer an Oko. Zan Syed up to the usual Urza stuff in the early game. Astrolabes, Emery, all that good stuff. But here's a Jace the Mind Sculptor going to come down, bounce Emery. And Zan's going to have to rebuild. Mishra's Bauble, little land, 4 mana of his own. And here comes Urza.
Oh, man, Urza. And now, yeah, Zan just has all the mana in the world.
Deploy Oko. Actions per turn looking a little bit low on Ellison's side.
And he could still replay the...
Yeah. I mean, is this that good, Craig? I have no idea.
Well, and bouncing the Emery is so awkward with your Jace, because what's your plan the next turn? Like, it only costs 1 mana. It produces more cards, in the graveyard. Yep. You're not gaining a lot of tempo by bouncing it, but if you leave it on the battlefield, the opponent just draws more cards for free.
Not ideal. It's almost like this deck loaded with powerful cards. Meanwhile, Zan's going to keep doing typical Urza stuff. Access to spins now, should he want them. Is going to go ahead and take one. That construct already looking pretty big. War of Invention. Cast that, go get a 0.
Yep.
Yeah, Zan's going to go in. Can get Opal, can get another Bauble. Oh, boy. And now, looks like Elk and Construct look to get into the red zone.
Sure, but Ellison still has the potential
to just combo off
for the one-shot kill here.
Yeah, let's see. I mean, he's got both in hand. He is short a red source right now, I believe. Here's the Deceiver Exarch. Got to tap down Bauble. Takes another peek at the top of the deck. Do we have the red source? We drew it! Kiki Jiki copying Deceiver Exarch. And Ellison Berryhill takes down game 1 from a perilous position. Ellison says it doesn't matter if I'm not taking a lot of actions if the 2 I take just kill you.
Yeah.
Good stuff from Ellison Berryhill.
Well, that's the power of this deck.
Wins out of absolutely nowhere. I do think he had to draw that mountain on the last turn.
Yes, but the win is all at instant speed, basically. You were looking at the Oko on the opposing side of the board. Doesn't turn this off.
Yep.
Yeah,
you can set it up to protect from Oko. Gonna head to sideboards now. Just go through real quick. Talk about what Ellison may have to offer. There's some mystical disputes there. Veil of Summer, both those cards seem like reasonable options. Maybe Disdainful Strokes if you're interested in that kind of stuff. How about over on Zan Syed's side, Craig? Anything you like from him?
Yeah, I'm just looking through this real quick. Yeah, there's a lot of good options here. If Zan wants to interact with this combo a little bit better, he has some removal. The Abrupt Decays can't be countered, so that's a tempting card. Fatal Push, super efficient. And then I really like Mystical Disputes, potentially Veil of Summer. The Veil is particularly good here because so many blue cards coming out of the opposing deck. You just cycle it if you need to.
Yeah, I think Veil's going to be good on both sides of this matchup for sure. Veil is 3 of the 4 green cards in Ellison's deck. There's also Weather the Storm in the sideboard. Zan getting up the typical high action Urza stuff. Mishra's Bauble, Mox Opal, Sword of the Meek on the battlefield at the ready. Zan says, I like infinite combos as well. Lightning Bolt headed to take out Emery. Boy, there's a small amount of lightning bolts in Modern at the moment.
There really are, and
here comes an Oko attempt from Zan.
we're really moving quick here, obviously, but the lightning bolt on Zan's upkeep still allowed him to activate the Emery.
Yeah, maybe a bit of a timing issue there from Ellison. A little bit of fancy play syndrome, perhaps.
Yeah, I think it's easy to get caught up in certain play patterns where if the opponent has counterspells in their deck,
you want to force their mana.
You want them to use their mana on their turn.
Yeah, makes sense, but it did grant Zan a little bit more access to his graveyard. Here comes Snapcaster Mage, going to try and handle the Oko problem.
Another card similar to Lightning Bolt that just...
Not much play.
Yeah, not in the format anymore. And that poor Snapcaster Mage trying to whittle away Oko.
Don't think it's going to be successful.
Yeah.
Zan's just going to get his beatdown on, starting to attack with Elk tokens.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised he didn't... I guess it would have had Summoning Sickness. I'm surprised he didn't Elk a food there.
Yeah, I don't know if he had a fresh one.
No, so the Oko had made a food, and then the Gilded Goose had made a food, so it would have had Summoning Sickness.
Could Elk the sword.
Could Elk the sword.
I think there's a case for it.
Yeah, because if the sword ends up in the graveyard, it's still a sword.
Right. Well, Zan's just doing Elk stuff. Beatdowns are coming fast. Lightning bolting food. That's not great. And Ellison's going to have to pull another win out of nowhere. Doesn't have it this time. Just goes ahead and scoops him up. And mercifully quick. Game 2. Doesn't usually happen that way with the Wurza deck.
Well, the way that the Is It Kiki Jiki deck plays out is going to lend itself to either an explosive win or succumbing. I don't think it's a deck that's going to play a real long game and grind things out.
Yeah, mostly agree with you. Old Splinter Twin decks had a bit of potential to go longer. They often boarded in things like Batterskull for a control game post-board. Don't see as much of that going on with this list.
One, it wouldn't happen in this matchup anyway.
It would not, correct. Player's going to shuffle up for Game 3 here. Did you play a lot of Splinter Twin back in the day, Craig?
No, only a little bit. It was during a point where I wasn't super invested in Magic at the time.
Okay.
And part of me is kind of happy that I dodged a lot of that period.
Splinter Twin, one of my all-time favorite decks to play. I am so thankful it's not part of Magic presently. But at the time, I enjoyed the play patterns.
Yeah, I think for the competitive players, they love it. But for people that want to play their style of deck, and I'm putting that in quotes, where hey, I enjoy playing Beatdown, or I enjoy playing this combo, or whatever the case may be, Splinter Twin just had such toxic play patterns for the other people trying to play against it.
Yep. There's a great example of combo control with all of its upsides and downsides. Here's an attempt at Oko from Zan Syed. Ellison going to do a little bit of fetching. Looks like we've announced a counterspell, but Zan at the ready with Veil of Summer, but not so fast, says Ellison. Looks like we have Forced Negation, thinking about what we want to pitch to it.
Yeah, this is quite the battle.
Yeah, this is a Legacy-style counter war. Forced Negation going to go ahead and exile.
Well, it's funny,
Remand.
Is it better if he lets... Is it better if he Force of Negations the Oko and lets the Remand
card
resolve?
It depends. It depends on the texture of his hand. I think in most cases, yes. But there are certain circumstances where you're more desperate for the card, and one of them is when you're not making land drops. So you understand why you're incentivized to try and get a card in your hand. And this does not look good for Ellison Berryhill.
Yeah, we'll see what Zan is up to over the next turn or two.
Well, we know Oko's back in the mix. Has another remand. Are we going to fight over this one now? Looks like food going to be cashed in. Interesting. I think Zan's probably debating on whether he wants to save that Misty Rainforest to go get a Mystic Sanctuary. Ultimately, going to go get Island, cast Mystical Dispute on the remand. Oko resolves. And what do we want to do now?
Yeah, I think on some level, Zan wants more artifacts on the board, turns on the Mox Opal. More food means there's more for the Gilded Goose to eat.
Looks like we're going to make an Emery via the food token. And then we're just going to elk our Mox Opal and start beating down.
Yeah, I like getting aggressive when the opponent's missing some land drops.
I'm with you. Ellison with an Abrade does draw a third land. Is it too little, too late? Arkham's Astrolabe. More artifacts on the battlefield. Oko going to just make a food this turn. Goose is going to use it and play Urza. More elk beatdowns. Ellison's going to have to put together one of those out-of-nowhere wins, but I don't think his hand is set up for it right now. Looks like a couple of Veil of Summers. Zan's starting to put together an offense here. Couple of Elks, Urza.
Matthias Hunt.
Matthias Hunt in the mix.
That is a small Matthias Hunt right now.
Yeah. I've seen larger. Ellison down to just 2 life. What you got for us, Ellison? Do you have something spectacular in store?
And we're seeing the situation where Veil of Summer's much better out of Zan's proactive deck than it is out of Ellison's reactive deck.
Yeah, and Ellison is going to die with a fistful of Veil of Summers, and Zan Syed